Lars Mittank was a German citizen from northwest Germany who disappeared when he was just 28. Lars wanted to go on a vacation with his friends in Bulgaria, so they decided to go to the Golden Sands Hotel Resort. But on June 30th, Lars and his friends arrived at the HBD Viva Hotel. So for a while, the guys were all having fun and relaxing, and Lars appeared pretty normal. So what happens next hasn't been 100% confirmed or proven, and there's not a lot of evidence. But it's said that Lars and his buddies went to a bar to watch a football game. Living in Europe myself, I have seen that some football fans can really get crazy and sometimes aggressive. So Lars somehow got involved in a heated argument with other nearby football fans, and it ended up getting physical. Now, you have arguing and you have alcohol, and that's often not a good combination. It's said that Lars got hit in the head and actually had to go to the hospital for it. Lars ended up with a ruptured eardrum. That must have been a very hard hit to the head in order to even cause that. So Lars was supposed to leave the next day to go back to Germany. Now, I've read in my research that some sources say doctors told him it was safe to fly, and while others say that doctors told Lars it was not safe to fly. Again, this is just one of the parts of the stories that's not confirmed. I don't know why this story has so much back and forth and non-confirmed events, but let's continue. So, let's say he couldn't fly. He has to get back home to Germany. In Europe, there is a number of trains and even long-haul buses that are available from country to country. So he could have taken a train or rented a car. Lars was prescribed antibiotics for his ear, and they are called cefuroxime. Lars decided, okay, it's not safe to fly, and he decides to stay back from his friends and have them go home without him. It's said that his friends felt bad and they offered to stay with him, but Lars insisted that they go. Lars probably didn't want to feel like a burden. Plus, he was an adult, so he was old enough to make his own decisions. That night, Lars and his friends went to McDonald's. Lars had stayed outside because he said he wasn't hungry and told his friends to just go inside and order. Now, this may be a significant moment. It was said that Lars had refused to eat for nearly the whole trip. His friend said he barely ate even though there was a free buffet included in their hotel stay. Maybe he just wasn't hungry, or maybe he ate when his friends weren't around. However, something else can cause a severe lack of appetite, and that is drugs. Certain drugs can cause people to not eat for days. Let's go back to when they were at McDonald's. Lars' friends ordered food, and when they came back out, Lars was gone. Why was he gone? What happened in those 10 minutes? And why didn't he just go inside to begin with? Lars doesn't come back until the next day. He was gone all night. Where was he and what was he doing? Did he even sleep? I don't know if his friends were calling or texting him while he was gone. That is not really confirmed. But when Lars came back that day, he told his friends that he had been in another fight. And this is where the story gets stranger. Lars claims that the same group of guys that punched him in the head had found him again and hired a guy to attack him. Now, this sounds a little bizarre. He seemed pretty erratic, but other than that, he still seemed pretty normal and like himself. So, his friends trusted him. They got on a plane and went back home, while Lars stayed behind in Bulgaria. So that night, Lars checks into a different hotel in Varna. Apparently, this hotel isn't in the best area of town, which makes me question why he chose it. Shortly after, he phoned his mom and told her some pretty bizarre stuff. He said things like, "People are after me, I don't feel safe," and that the same men he had fought with the day before were following him. He told her to cancel his credit cards and that the men knew he had pills and that they were after him trying to get them. He told his mom on the phone that he was hiding. He abruptly hung up, and a few minutes later, he texted her saying, "What is cefuroxime 500? This is the antibiotic he had for his ruptured eardrum." Now, I instantly thought maybe this is a weird prescription drug that he was given. However, upon further research, this antibiotic isn't known to cause paranoia or hallucinations. His odd behavior was happening before he got the antibiotics. This behavior started the night he disappeared from the McDonald's. After his phone call with his mother, he took an early taxi to the airport. During his taxi ride, the driver said that Lars looked agitated and that his pupils were dilated. The most common causes of dilated pupils are drug use and a head injury. Now, we know for a fact that one of these things happened. Lars was punched in the head, hard enough to rupture his eardrum. This can cause a TBI, or a traumatic brain injury. This could explain his erratic and paranoid behavior. The strangeness doesn't end here. What happens next is so confusing, and it's literally described as YouTube's greatest mystery. So Lars arrives at the airport. Luckily, most of his time at the airport is recorded. He's seen briefly talking to a woman, likely asking for directions. Lars heads to the medical center in order to check out his ear one last time before flying. The doctor that consulted Lars has been interviewed multiple times. He says Lars was acting erratic and scared. A few minutes later, a man in a construction outfit walked in. Lars instantly panicked. He said, "I don't want to die here. I have to get out of here." He instantly ran out of the room at full speed, leaving behind all of his belongings, his passport, cell phone, luggage, and money. In this video, you can see him bolting outside, through the grass, to the fence, which was full of barbed wire, and heading to a forest. So what just happened? What we've seen is an escalation in erratic behavior and paranoia in the last couple of days before his disappearance. Over the years, there has been numerous reported sightings of Lars, all of which sadly were not Lars. There have been sightings in Bulgaria, Germany, and other southern European countries. So let's look at the possible theories of this insane and very mysterious case. Theory 1. Lars suffered a TBI from the punch to the head. He wasn't aware that he had a brain injury, therefore it wasn't treated and his condition just escalated. This would explain the paranoid behavior and the dilated pupils. Theory 2. Lars was on drugs and/or had an undiagnosed mental illness and it came to a head in Bulgaria. This could be a theory as paranoid schizophrenia is common in males in their 20s. However, everyone that knew Lars said that he never acted like this before. Theory 3. Drugs. Some think that Lars was on some type of drug, and this could explain the dilated pupils and the fact that he wasn't eating for most of the trip. We can't rule anything out, however, I don't feel like he was on drugs, and there is no evidence of this as well. Also, his luggage he left behind at the airport had no drugs in it. His friends never saw him take drugs or act like this. But the problem with all of these theories is, why hasn't his body been found? If he had stumbled away with a TBI and didn't know who he was, eventually he would succumb and his body would be found. This has not been the case. So it leads people to believe that he is still alive and out there somewhere. So that is the case, my friends. Thank you for watching. Please subscribe and stay safe out there.